Ice cream. It is one of the nation's most favored desserts, yet one of the body's most despised. If you have ever experienced a brain freeze, you know why this is the case. Because we experience a terrible pain just behind our foreheads whenever we eat or drink something cold. Now, after being a victim of brain freezes for over 19 years, I decided to do some extensive research as to why this pain occurs inside of my head and inside the heads of many others. Essentially, brain freezes occur due to natural instincts that our bodies have to protect the brain. So when something cold hits the roofs of our mouths or our palates, our bodies actually think that there's a chance that our brain will freeze over and therefore tries to protect it. In an article posted by chemistry expert, Anne-Marie Helmenstein, she states that the brain freeze actually has a scientific name, sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia, which essentially means nerve pain of the sphenopalatine ganglion. Now I'll explain what all that means in a second. But for now, I will refer to that as just a simple brain freeze for the remainder of my time, since it's a mouthful to say. In an article published by the American Headache Society, Matthew S. Robbins, MD Matthew S. Robbins, states that the sphenopalatine ganglion, which I just mentioned, is a collection of nerve cells that is closely associated with the trigeminal nerve, which is the main nerve involved in headache disorders. He then goes on to mention that this nerve is located behind our noses and above our mouths. Therefore, when something cold hits someone's palate, it stimulates this nerve, which then eventually causes the temporary brain freeze. Dr. Helmenstein then goes on to explain that when something cold touches the roofs of our mouths, in order to protect the brain, blood is then sent to the affected area. Now, the body knows to send blood to these areas due to the stimulation that occurs within the sphenopalatine ganglion, which I just mentioned. Now, if you've never experienced a brain freeze, it's not because your nerves aren't working. There was a study done by Joseph Houlihan, assistant professor of the Department of Neurology at Temple University Health and Sciences Center. And he did a study that proved that only 1/3 amount of people suffer from brain freezes. He did this by getting a control group, giving them all cold beverages or cold items of food, and only 33% of them suffered from a brain freeze upon consumption. So now that we have learned, in simple terms, that brain freezes occur when something cold stimulates the nerves above the roofs of our mouths, I will now go on to talk about why this stimulation hurts so bad. I explained earlier that while attempting to warm the cold area of our mouths, our body sends blood to that area. When this happens, blood vessels just above our mouths swell, which in a broad case is ultimately the cause of pain within a brain freeze. In an article posted by the Huffington Post, Rachel Tepper states, previously scientists had thought that brain freeze was simply the result of too quick cooling and rewarming of blood cells. However, the pain of a brain freeze is a little bit more than just swollen blood cells. This is proven by scientists at Harvard Medical School who conducted a study that proved that if you're a sufferer of migraines, you are more susceptible to brain freezes. This caused scientists to assume that there's a correlation between headaches, migraines, and also brain freezes. Scientists then concluded that this ultimate correlation is connected through one main mechanism, local changes in brain blood flow. So if blood flow is ultimately what is causing the pain, or stimulating the pain rather, why do swollen blood vessels hurt? Well, according to research done by Harvard Medical School and explained by author Jennifer Welsh, the brain is sensitive to temperature, and therefore when blood is rushed to the head, it is rushed through the anterior cerebral artery, which is located in the very center of our brains. This causes both swelling within the artery and within the vessels just above our mouths. Then, when this happens, pressure is added within our skulls, which then stimulates the sphenopalatine ganglion and also pain receptors. So the pressure is ultimately what causes the pain within a brain freeze. And then when the arteries and the blood vessels constrict and shrink, that is when we feel that relief of pain within a brain freeze. However, now that you have learned why brain freezes happen and why they hurt so bad, I will provide you with some advice as to how to avoid them altogether or how to get rid of them faster. It's really as simple as it sounds. Since the brain is sensitive to temperature, whenever you eat or drink something cold, eat it slowly. Or you can also hold it at the fronts of your mouth, and that'll also lessen the pain. In an article written by Matt Soniak, who has contributed to Men's Health and Science magazine, Scientific American, and also The Atlantic, he says that eating or drinking cold food slowly allows one's mouth to get used to the temperature. He adds later that holding food at the front of your mouth allows it to warm down before you swallow it, and that the back of your palate is more susceptible to a brain freeze than the front of your palate is. However, if you don't follow these instructions, or if you do and still get a brain freeze, unfortunately, steps can be made to make it go away faster. Chemistry expert Dr. Anne-Marie Helmenstein, whom I mentioned earlier, explains that rapid changes in temperature are both the quickest way to get a brain freeze and to also rid of one, which explains why colder temperatures are less susceptible to brain freezes. So if you get a brain freeze, rapid temperature change is the fastest way to rid of one. So then she writes that pressing your thumb or your tongue to the roof of your mouth to warm the blood vessels is the fastest way to rid of a brain freeze. So, however, if you follow this remedy with another scoop of ice cream, you will almost immediately get another brain freeze. So now that we have learned how to either prevent or to stop brain freezes, let's conclude with a review. First, I explained that cold temperatures in our mouths stimulate nerves that are just above our mouths due to our body's natural instincts to protect our brains. These nerves make up the sphenopalatine ganglion. Next, I explained why brain freezes hurt so bad because there is blood that has flowed through the anterior cerebral artery, and that swells, and also the blood vessels just above our mouth swell, which causes pressure within our skulls, which triggers pain receptors. Finally, I told you how to avoid this terrible pain that is really just blood flow, or how to take it away if you fail to do so. So in conclusion, if you are a victim of a brain freeze or of brain freezes like I am, you already know the sharp pain that we experience is absolutely terrible. And I hope that you have learned that this pain is ultimately a natural reaction of our bodies that isn't evil, but rather cold-blooded.